Okay. And we have action. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ose, and we are playing Farming Simulator 17 on Lawfolds. It's day 5 late summer of the 4th year of this farm, and we have a bunch of harvesting to do. No, we finished all the harvesting. We have a bunch of seeding and other fun stuff, and I need to move all my tractors around. I think I just reversed that trailer into the house. That could be expensive. Hey Gary Trax, how you doing? I've decided to rearrange the tractors early. Since I can run the seeder on this one. Oh, that's in the way. No, it's not. Yes. Yep, I'm still working on the cows and the pigs. For some reason I'm stuck on... There we go. Cows and the pigs, yes. I need something like 30 pigs and 20 cows bred. And I'm not actually sure I'm going to complete it. That's a lot. I'm not actually sure how many hours I've got on this. I can check. And no, please stop. Where are you going? That's the problem. I've found that the game will start moving the tractor I'm in if I switch to another screen. And so that's what happened just there. And we reverse that up to the edge. Go, go, go. Okay. We have oilseed radish loaded. Drop the back, turn it on, start the helper. And jump out. Library, Farming Simulator running. I only have 720 hours and I've been playing since it came out. No, that's Train Simulator. Let's try Farming Simulator. I have 1,520 hours. There you go. Okay, next stop is grab the cultivator and head up to field 26. And that device there is a very dirty cultivator. Come on. Thank you. Okay. I may actually need to put the plough away. But in all that time I didn't finish the breeding of cows or pigs. It's primarily because I only played pigs on the very first farm I played, which was Goldcrest. And then really haven't paid them since, because they don't make a sizable amount of money. And then cows breed so slowly, and I usually have so few of them that once again they're not going to breed enough before I get bored and switch to another map. But this map I've been playing for almost 500 hours of that 1500 hour total. Oh. Need to unfold the back bit. But sheep I've never had a problem with breeding, because yeah, they're the first animals I start on any given farm. Okay, you can go under helper too. Just along the edge of that map. Okay, on the end of that field. You're working, I'm just going to jump to the truck. So the last thing I need to do is sell a bunch of bales. Yeah, I have been thinking about buying more animals, because like you say, they breed faster. I'm playing with seasons, so the sheep only breed during spring, and the cows only breed through summer. I think the pigs breed any time except winter, though I'm not 100% sure of that. So, but I've only got like 50 pigs. I think cows I bought 40. Sheep I bought 50 at the end of the first year, and so I've bred 87 on this map. I bred over 100 on Old Stream Farm, because that had a cap limit of 100 animals, so as soon as I hit 100 sheep I'd load 16 of them into a cattle truck and take them off to market and allow the breeding to continue. I wasn't playing seasons on that map, so it wasn't such of a problem. But because, yeah, this farm is so old, I've been playing it for as I said, 500 hours, about 4 years. we're in the fourth summer now. That does mean that the animals have had a lot longer to establish themselves. So how many cows do I have? We're at 56 cows, so I only need 4 more. But I'm going to get 1 tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to get more than 1 more before the end of summer. So that's the window for cows breeding. Which will mean maybe I'll keep this map running when Farm Sim 19 comes out, just in order to finish up the 17 achievements. That's combining fields is not easy on this map. The thing is most of the fields are surrounded by these dry stone walls or fences with hedges along them, and so you can't plough between fields. But you do get 4 fields in an enclosed area right by the main farm, and the first year I ploughed all of those together, so I have one big 12-hectare field. Probably all of them, yep. Must admit, I'm not familiar with the case equipment. Apart from, as I said, the very first 9230. The first farm where you end up with a okay. I'm gonna guess that the 92. Oh, is that a harvester? Yes, harvester. Yeah, because you started off with a lot of case equipment on Goldcrest. I pretty much haven't used it in any of my other farms. This farm's running a lot of mods. I've got the Class 940, which is my big, about 380 horsepower tractor. The fast track I think that's the 8000 model, has about 320 horsepower. And then I have a New Holland T6 and a Valtra T. And normally when I was first started playing, I would normally run a Valtra N as my beginner tractor, because you could upgrade the engine to 180 horsepower. Oh! Oops, nearly overcooked that. And it made a good starter to medium tractor before you had to start buying new tractors with more horsepower. But this one, once again, I was determined there wasn't going to be a Valtra N. I was going to try and avoid most of the tractors I'd already used in the past. And so the first Valtra I bought was the T. Yeah, I've got a Class Lexion 700 series harvester, which it's not as big as the case, but it's certainly more than adequate for this farm. I have to take the header off every time I go into a new field, because even with the double gates, the header's wider than that. That's annoying sometimes. Where am I going? Okay, let's try and pay attention to where we're going. That's the way out. My old stream fund, I was just using actually I was using New Holland tractors on that. So when I upgraded the equipment for this farm at the beginning of this season year, I did upgrade to a T6. And that's my smallest field tractor, with it's probably got about 180 horsepower thereabouts, 175. And it's more than enough to run the seeders and fertilizers, or the fertilizers and the sprayers that I have. Don't see any issues with tractors at the moment. You're still planting, though you're about to run out of seed. Yeah, the Valtra I have isn't sufficient horsepower to haul the mower rig that I have, because I'm also running the realistic fuel mod, which means that not only do I have to run the equipment, I also have to have enough horsepower for the tractor and any hills that we're driving up. So a lot of my tractors do have problems, even with, or when I started, a lot of my tractors had problems with medium-sized equipment because of the hills on this thing, on this map. I mean, you look here, this looks fairly flat, but in actual fact, as soon as I go through that gate, we start a very long, slow climb, which can really drain a tractor running at full output, hauling a seeder or something like that. So I've got to make sure that after looking at the equipment needs, horsepower needs, I add 50 horsepower on top, just so that I can move the tractor at the working speed of the equipment. And you don't have to sit the Valtra in reverse. It's also good in reverse if you're doing a silage clamp compression. You can put that big blade on the back and it's not going to tip the tractor up. I'm very bad not looking here, because one time I'm going to pull out there and get hit in the side. I mean, outside the harvester, I think my trucks have the highest horsepower range. They're in about 540 horsepower. The base engine just isn't enough to haul a lot of the stuff I'm hauling, because I'm always running with a truck and a trailer. And I should probably have road wheels on these rather than ag wheels. But then the trailers, I do double duty with the tractors for hauling crops from the field. Both my trucks have a 3-point linkage and a PTO on the front, so I can run farm equipment if I wanted to. Yeah, sometimes it can be tricky keeping track of what equipment you have selected. It's all done. And yeah, this is a bit cheating, since I'm using an auto-load script, but I've got so many bales to move and so much other stuff to do. Oh, that reminds me, I've got to clear bales off the other field too. Hi Schaefer, how you doing? And yes, I've been pulling that off for long enough. I did say I have to get hit coming out of there sometime since I'm not looking. I'll do good. My eyes are a bit sore. Suffering from allergies for some reason. Hi Thomas, how you doing? Well, for me and the first 32 years of my life, this is actually the right side of the road. Although it's the wrong side of the truck, because nobody does a right-wheel drive man truck. I do have, I sold the pickup and bought a Land Rover, because the Land Rover is right-hand drive. But I've lived in United States for almost 20 years now. I think 19, just gone. Or just a bit, no, been 19 middle of November I've been here. So I've probably done more mileage on American roads than I ever did in England. Now, can I fit through this gate? Or is that tractor going to be in my way? I'm thinking the tractor's going to be in my way. We jump out. Because it just occurred to me field 27 was wheat. Which means there's a whole couple of trucks loads of straw down there that need to be sold. The British government and their tax policies. They decided to make computer consultancies pay taxes out of their revenues rather than out of their profits. And where I was salarying myself at £28,000 and all of the rest of the company income was generally going to hotels near the clients, training, legal expenses, financial expenses. British government after Margaret Thatcher was who was it? John Major was the last Conservative Prime Minister after Thatcher, or the first one after Thatcher. When he lost the election, Tony Blair and the Labour Party went into power. And they basically says, no, you should be paying taxes on your entire corporate revenue, not just your profits. And so, what with all my expenses and paying the government 51% off the top, it would have meant my income would have been about £5,000 a year. and typical computer salary, you're talking £20,000 and over. So it's sort of, yeah, I'm not doing that. And there was a big stink in the computer industry. The UK having kind of open door policy to the former British Empire. If you were in a country that was formerly part of the British Empire, not America because War of Independence, then you could get work visa and move to England very, very easily. And all of them left the country that I knew. They closed up shop and left. A lot of the consultants I'd worked with went back to full-time work because they could get a bigger take-home check at the end of the day. Plus, they weren't responsible for all their accounting and legal and training and everything else. And if the employer says you need to be at one of our remote locations, the employer paid you fare to get there. And so pretty much devastated the computer consultancy industry in Britain around the mid 90s, and mid to late 90s. And some of us just left, so I left the country. And their vision was that, oh, we'll get more taxes, and no, you've never received a tax cent from me since you incorporated that law. Plus, my wife missed more Walmart because she's American. Oops. You could if you like, Thomas. I tend to type in something in the general chat to say when I'm going to be streaming ahead of time. Yeah, the thing, Twitch changed their notification policies recently, so they'll only send you notification by one method. If you're logged into Twitch, they'll let you know inside of Twitch, otherwise they'll send an update, I think, to your email. I get most of my Twitch notifications through email. Sort of, Arthur has just gone live. Well, thank you. He went live about 2 hours ago and he's just stopped streaming, so good job. Okay. Not sure how many bales we've got on this field, actually. Two, three. 1, 2, me. 3. There's definitely another load in here, though. have a great many stories, and throughout my twitching time, they'll probably all eventually come out. Kind of enjoyed being a consultant, because your clients only pay you for the work that you do, and they usually insist that you don't do overtime because that costs them more money, whereas their in-house employees, they just get a salary, so it's 9 to 5 or 8 till 5 plus any extra hours that the job requires. And I've worked for some companies where plus any hours that the job requires can be 6 days a week and 10 hours a day, and that'll kill you over time. And so going consultant, it's sort of, okay, I've got to be at the office at 8 o'clock in the morning, and as soon as I walk out the door at 5 o'clock, the time is mine, unless you want to pay me for it. Yeah, okay. Okay, we have... What are we doing? Okay, I've got, I believe it's getting on for 500 hours on this farm. The map itself is Lawfolds, Aberdeenshire, which was released maybe a month or two after the original release of Farming Sim 17. It's never been prepared for seasons. I think the map maker quit after releasing this one. And it's a large map. Oops. I mean, we're currently running from the road along the below field 1213. I'm just about to turn left round field 23. And then we go all the way down this road and then use the dirt track to get to the cow farm, or at the moment I'm doing field 27 and clearing that from bales of straw. On this, the 4th year of the map, I've actually bought 3 new fields, which is obviously going to increase the workload quite significantly. And it looks like the slurry tank's nearly finished. Which, yes, that's another cheat. I've got it pulling digestate from the BGA tanks, and we'll just pretend that there's a truck driving between the BGA and the slurry tank on the field to replenish the supply in it. I don't run Courseplay. I've had issues with it in the past, and it's just it takes me too long to learn it. So, plus invariably the traffic gets in the way and everything else. So right in front of us now, that's the main farm building. And that big field right in front of us there is what used to be 4 fields. One's very small field, 2 reasonable sized fields, and then one that was between the small field and the reasonable sized fields. And I ploughed that all together in the first year to a 12-hectare field. Which does take a lot of work to clear off. End of year 3, the harvest of year 3, I had an issue where I'm using the tractor mounted forager, which is kind of tight, and hauling product off the field with the tractor trailer rig, and figured I'm not going to get this done in the amount of time left before winter. So I did buy a corn header for the harvester, and I had the harvester running half the field and the forager running the other half. But this year I do have more than enough money to buy a forage harvester, dedicated forage harvester, which should be easily able to harvest all of the fields that I want it to. Okay. Go. So I ended up last winter with a whole batch of corn, and decided, yeah, I'll buy some pigs. But unfortunately I just sold sort of 95% of my canola on a great demand, and so we actually ran out of canola on the first day of summer. And it wasn't until earlier today I harvested a canola field and was able to give the pigs some canola. Yes. This truck is a mod, originally from a team called GTX Mods, but their programmer quit. So this was the last mod they produced, along with, and then their programmer released the mod onto the mod hub. You have detachable frames on the back of the trucks, plus trailer, plus 2 truck models. There's also a Volvo truck, which I don't have, and I find it useful. It's as flexible as a what do you call it? A semi truck and trailer, but it's short wheelbase, so it's good for these roads. Back there we have a Class 940 Axion, which I believe, as I said, is about 380 horsepower. That's kind of fun. It's the biggest tractor I have on the farm. Right in front of us here is the Valtra T, which has log fork modification on it. It's not a mod. I'm going to turn that off and jump out. It also has wheel weights. On the back is the Horsch DLC slurry tank, and injector, but it's not a cultivator injector, which was a little bit annoying because I could have used one of those. Now I want to check field layout. Next one. And that missed the top edge and the bottom edge. So we're going to have to do that before we let the cultivator loose. I've also got a New Holland T6 mod in Fiat Power Red, and unfortunately the narrow tyres that come with that mod do not class as row crop tyres, so I do not run the 4-reel crop destruction mod. Other mods do we have? I also have the Horsch planter for corn and what's the other stuff? Sugar beet and sunflowers. Most of the rest of the equipment is the blue Lemkin seeder that's currently planting on the field to the south of us, plus this cultivator. Also not mods, they're just 12-meter working width, so kind of handy to have. And I did find that the class does work quite well with 12-meter equipment. It's pretty much spot on for its turn radius. I missed a bit there, but I'm not going to be overly upset. Kramer. We've got Kramer back at the BGA with a CSZ log fork. CSZ bale fork, which also has an auto load function. I use the BioBelt's 4-prong tree logger grab, log grabbing log thing, because I found it, with 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, it's far more stable than the 1 at the top, 2 at the bottom that the standard front loader in-game logging fork allows for. Fast Track 7000's an in-game model. I've got the Lin Track down at the sheep farm, which is a 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steer tractor, very useful for tight areas. That is also not a mod, it's the only 4-wheel steer tractor in the game, native. And I have a Massey Ferguson 5600, which is attached to the header trailer at the moment, but usually lives down at the cow farm. Most of the mods I'm running are what I'd call a quality of life mod. There's a top right hand side of the screen, right in the corner, there's a real-time clock, so I can see what time it is. In the middle there's a compass which shows the heading of the tractor and can be used as kind of a poor man's GPS, and I used that for many months before the GPS mod came out. Top left is the glance mod, which tells you all of the equipment that you've got running and what it's doing. So I've currently got the Valtra T is what I'm driving. We're spraying slurry and I've got 13% of a tank left. Over on the Oops, let's drop that down. The JCB is running with a seeding oil seed radish, and it's 21% remaining seed. And yeah, every time I put a helper in a tractor, that will appear. Engines run. If a vehicle has an engine running, it will provide feed out on that mod. I'm running the real-time fuel, the realistic fuel usage mod, which does drain a lot more power from a tractor than normal. You not only have to account for the machinery load, but also moving the tractor and any hills it's likely to go up and down, and this is not a flat map. The hills aren't crazy steep like Coldborough Park Farm, but they are quite steep, and that is full. I do not have a tender around. Okay, we're going to have to fold. There we go. As you can see there, that trailer with the tracks on, it does take an overload of horsepower to turn it. So, and even then it's kind of heavy for this tractor, even empty. I don't have anything else large enough, anything larger that I could haul it with. At least not realistic. I could put a truck on the front, but that's kind of crazy. We go down here and we should pick up speed. There might actually be a speed limit on the trailer because of the tracks. Or not. I have a quick look mod which allows me, using key press, to change the view I'm looking at. Up is face forward, down is face backwards, and then left and right alters your view by 45 degrees, whichever way you pushed it. And that's very helpful in logging situation, or anytime you're using a front loader, because you're lining up, and then I want to see what it's like from the side, and then line up. So that's kind of handy. I've also got a light add-on which does self-cancelling of the turn signals. Apart from that, it serves no use, and if you're playing solo, you really don't need to use the turn signals, but it provides a level of realism. Obviously I've got seasons running, although I'm only running the base geo. See, it does not like to turn, but once we're in a straight line, it will start to accelerate. The little green, yellow and red bar is the power drain on the tractor at the moment. I have got my foot to the floor, so I'm hauling at full power, and the acceleration is sluggish, to say the best. I did install another mod the other day, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, I installed this. Yes. Oh, I've installed the Chrome Big X cargo. which will be my new forage harvester when I get round to needing it, which will be probably later in the fall. And that bleeds so much speed off. Ugh. We're going to have to check on the JCB as well. Oh, no. There's a little bit right at the end of that section. Is that not? It is feeding. Why does that not register as feeding? Oh, I know why. I have to get off. No? That's weird. Huh. Oh, that's got all messed up. Okay, let's fold that. That's a bug in the mod. Unfold. It's got a big trailer on the back with, box on the back to put the forage in, and then it lifts up high when it's in operating position, and you can unload into a trailer on off a conveyor belt in the box. I figured it was probably going to be the most useful on this farm because I can run that on a helper and ferry using a tractor and trailer. Hi JC. Will be needed on the two fields to the right of us with corn. Okay, I'm going to grab some food. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, back at the keyboard. So I actually want to jump over to the class. So yeah, that's the Lexion 700 with the header trailer and header. That's the Lindner. That's the truck. That's my other truck, which currently has a seed tender on the back, auger wagon loaded with seed. That was my Land Rover. It's okay. It's a good facsimile. The headlights don't work too well. There's the fast track. That's the T6 6-cylinder, 175 horsepower, and is an adequate small field tractor. Most of the time I'm just doing the fertilizing with it. And here we have the class. I could have had a larger engine in it. Sometimes I wish I did, but it is definitely sufficient for the task at hand. Okay, that I will put on a helper and hope. I missed the end. I'll come back and do that later. Okay, you're good. And you can go on a helper. Turn the engine on. And then you need to get the last of the bales emptied off this field. Since none of my seeders are drills, I have to either plough or cultivate every field before I can sow. Now, for some reason, that goes all the way to the bottom, but the silage tank left row and a half, almost 2 rows. Okay. There we go. Okay, you can park there for now. We still have 1,000 seed left. This guy thinks he's done. I think he missed bits, as usual. Now, fortunately for me, oilseed radish is a very efficient crop to lay down. So I don't need to refill the planter quite so frequently. Things like canola, to some extent wheat and barley, I have to have the seed tender come with me. For 2 reasons. One, the farm is big, and I really don't want to take an hour to drive back to the main farm and out to the field again. And 2, the economy on this map the seed dispensers and fertilisers dispensers that are at each farm yard cost about 1.5 times more than the regular seed pallets you get from the store. Obviously the first year, when you don't have a lot of money to play with, you really don't want to be paying over the odds for seed and fertiliser. Fortunately, the map maker does give us racks and racks of seed and fertiliser pallets, which I used up because on my old PC there was so much stuff at the farm itself that you couldn't, the graphics were very juddery, so I just said, to heck with this, I've got to use up all the seed, all the pallets. Oh, I didn't need to do that. Lift that up. Okay, now what I actually need to do is get in the seed tender, and I didn't open the cover. So this is my reseeding operation, or sorry, refill operation. I have a tanker with liquid fertilizer and another auger wagon with solid fertilizer in. Close enough. That's the fold button, jump out, run across to the truck, and fold that in before it gets hit by something. Placeable bale stack mod. No. I'm using a flatbed trailer. Actually a flatbed AR frame with an auto-load script, which allows me to stack things tightly. The flatbed frames are on this truck here. Unfortunately, this farm does not include much free space for placeables. And at the time the farm was released, there weren't that many placeables to be had anyway. Done. And that's done. Something has an engine on. I think it's the truck. Yes, it's the truck. Okay. It's annoying. And for those of you new to this stream, yes, I know I can get digestate at the BGA for dropping bales into the digester there. It's just that the digestate tank is full, or at least it was at the start of the harvest season. So much so I think I didn't earn some digestate I could have done when I unloaded a bunch of silage bales there. So I'm just running them up to the store to sell rather than drop them off at the BGA, because it's added hassle. I have to use a front loader to put the bales into the wrong button, to put the bales into the digester. This is before, the map was done before the days of ramps and other useful implements that made feeding a digester easy. Ow. That one. That's a lot of traffic. Okay, so with these trailers I can auto unload. Currently it's set to middle. Oh, I'm on the back one. Switch to the front one. I can do left, right, sorry that was a double click there. Back, which would make all sorts of mess. And then center, which is on the bed itself. Now from there, left side, I can adjust where it places, and I can also adjust the height it places. So I can stack bales on bales if I'm careful with my driving. So that field's done. So ordinarily what I do is I unload the straw onto the back of the truck and then strap down, which gives the truck some mass and the possibility of tipping over if I overcook a corner. Right, I'm gonna sit us in the class for a bit and I'm gonna eat my supper. The system's called the Complete AR mod. It's on the mod hub in the beta section. You get that yellow truck and a couple of trailers. There's a 3-wheeled trailer, a 2-wheel trailer, and then there's a dolly trailer as well. And then you get a bunch of frames with it. We could go and have a look at those. It splits into 2 sections. You've got the AR trucks and trailers, which gives you, that's my yellow truck, which is just a basic flat truck. The AR day cab has a 5th wheel on it, but the frame is so long that it's kind of impractical to use as a 5th wheel truck on this map. On other maps you probably could. It's a 3-wheel trailer, a dolly trailer, and a 2-wheel trailer. 2 2-wheel trailers, a high hitch and a low hitch. And then you get the AR frame equipment, TMR mixer, animal transport, flatbed with auto load, AR service, which you can use but you have to pay for, carries fuel, seed, solid fertilizer, liquid fertilizer. I think it might even carry water. No, yes, seed, fertilizer, fuel and water, both types of fertilizer. There is a timber runner with a cage, a timber runner with a crane thing, timber runner cage, timber runner with the forks, with the spikes on. To unload it, the spikes on this side drop down level, and then the entire trailer tips sideways. There's the lizard field fuel tank, which allows you to fill vehicles in the field. Occasionally I'll run that, but really if you pay attention to the fuel levels of your tractors, you don't really need to worry about it too much. A walk and milk trailer, water and milk trailer, and I don't use it as a milk trailer because I don't have any milk mods that allow me to sell milk separate. Fuel only. Multi-use, which you can use for water, digestate, liquid fertilizer. What else is there? Slurry, milk, gas and water. That's a sprayer, sorry. Once again, you'd stick that on a trailer rather than the truck. That's a digestate or slurry tank spreader. That's just a transporter. I have two of those, which I use to ferry stuff from the BGA. That's a solid fertilizer spreader. So is that. A manure spreader. And then Brantner flatbed or Brantner tipper, chaser bin, cramp tipper, Bergman tipper, and the agroliner tipper, and a lizard tipper. This is the only tipper that comes with a cover. Oh, and finally the Flegel. It's only 21,000, but it does have the cover, which I find useful. And then I've also got a couple of other AR. There's the AR tipper pack, which Brantner trailer, cramp trailer. That says Flegel timber runner and is a diesel tank, so yeah, whatever. Water, milk tank, and is there any others? Oops. I can't remember if there's any others knocking around. I got the universal tank mod loaded, which I'm not using. And that's the forage harvester I plan to be getting. So rather than being just a standard with the pipe, you've got the pipe, but it's also got this storage box on the back. It unloads the pipe into that area, and you pull a truck or you pull a trailer up alongside, and there's a conveyor belt which unloads into the trailer. Anyway, back to some food. Okay, we've still got a while of that running. Oh, you think you're done, do you? That's not a terrible job. It's not a great job. Excuse me. And as I said, the AR frame set does make the truck very versatile. Yesterday the trucks were being used to ferry logs to the lumberyard, and today they're being used to ferry bales to the store. Oops. That's the second time I've done that. One of the companies that I worked for used this style of truck with a standard box trunk on the back, and it allowed them to basically have a trunk with no truck attached at the loading bay at the warehouse. The guys in the warehouse would load the trunk up, and when a truck returned, it would drop its trunk off at one of the loading bays and pick up a full trunk to take out on deliveries. So you didn't have to have as many vehicles idling around doing nothing and drivers sitting and waiting for the trucks to be loaded, because you can load the trunk in preparation for the next truck to arrive. Oops, there we go. Oh, is that a problem? Okay, as soon as I get back to the farm, I'll stop the stream and restart it. Hopefully that'll sort out the sound issues. Of course, it could be the distance you are from me. magic floating bales. Okay, I'm going to do a quick stop and restart on the stream to see if that helps with the sound. I do have this running at very high resolution though, so it might not fix it.